Steffan, we're ready to go. It's the night of Groovebox, as we talked like before, and you're one of the 5 musicians that's gonna play at Groovebox tonight. Can you tell the people that probably don't know what Groovebox is, what is Groovebox?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I don't consider us musicians, more performers. That's also kind of fluffy, but Groovebox is essentially a platform that was built by some people, international students in Aalborg. I think it started in 2014. So it kind of grew out as an idea in 2012 that these people, they wanted to have a scene of their own where they can go and play the music that they feel is quality music, and also just to get out in public and play for a crowd on a proper sound system. So I think it all sort of started actually at the old Viva la Revolution on Marenturisgade, under the name of Viva on Air. And then it sort of grew by itself. You know, people started following, and more artists came into the, I mean, it's basically a collective, came into the fold and started performing under the name Groovebox, and it sort of kind of grew into a family at some point. And yeah, as you said, there's Groovebox tonight, so it's still going, albeit in a bit slightly different format than it used to be. But it's basically just a platform for locals that DJ mostly and otherwise perform.
It's being held here at the Tusindfryd, where we're filming actually tonight. How many places have it been in? Because it's not just like one location that you hold it in, is it?
I mean, as I said, it started at Viva. And then at some point it moved over here. That was before my time.
Okay.
I think it started at Tusindfryd in 2014.
Okay.
And then since I came on board, we've also done like spin-off events at Vesto, V4, and some other like sort of impromptu places we did. I wouldn't call them Groovebox events, but they were still, you know, the collective events. We've done like pop-ups in Jomfrueneparken, Kieleparken, and sort of collaborated also with other projects we've had going, like Honor Festival and the likes. Yeah.
Now you moved to Aalborg like 7 years ago, and you started making or coming into the electronic music scene 3 years ago. Before that, you did some radio in Aalborg that has lasted. Well, it's been quite a while. When did you start making the radio?
Well, I moved here in 2011 and started at Student House doing the concerts and stuff. And then after I sort of quit at Student House, I moved into Aalborg Student Radio, and kind of was appealed by the idea of this platform that could sort of help provide some sort of news feed for international students, especially because it was all international. And I was doing that for I think 3 or 4 years, and the radio closed on 31st of December last year. It's when we closed it because it wasn't sustainable anymore.
Sadly,
unfortunately.
Yeah, because there was a nice feature to have, like also for the students that are coming there, and especially that they did it to the international students. I think that's nice.
I mean, I think like most things, you know, it had a life cycle of its own, and it grew. It was mostly the same people who started up Groovebox that also kind of rekindled Aalborg Student Radio, because it used to be just a Danish student radio, Aalborg Student Radio.
Yeah.
So when the internationals that also made Groovebox, they came along, they also sort of took that on. So it kind of all became like a big bubble of things for the same sort of people, but for the wider audience. But of course, like everything has an end, but it's nice to see that can sort of grow a seed. So when we closed the radio last year, according to the Articles of Association, we had to donate all the equipment and everything, and we actually donated it to Tusindfryd.
Yeah.
So I think in some sense, because we went to a lot of meetings here and talked about, you know, maybe the radio moving in here or us closing and giving away the equipment, that I'd like to think maybe that was some sort of inspiration for your podcast here to happen, or for some others to do their own thing as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think it's like, when something dies, quotation mark, something else gets born. So it's a very organic way.
Circle of life.
Yeah.
How do you think that the whole environment with all of the electronic music and the radio station and these kind of things, how do you think that the environment in Aalborg is for all of these things to grow?
I think in terms of growing, it's quite a nice scene. It's pretty easy if you have an idea to go and collaborate with people who can help you set up something. Like Groovebox, for instance, we got pretty lucky that we were able to sustain it for such a long time and keep it going. That was also due to the audience and us as individuals, the fact that we really connected with the people who came to our events. So in terms of, let's call it event entrepreneuring, I think Aalborg has a very, very good scene in terms of entrepreneuring in general as well. There's a huge entrepreneur community here. I think, though, in terms of sustaining something and wanting to grow it into something more, it can be quite difficult here.
Okay, and why is that?
It's a small city and everyone knows everyone. And often knowing everyone can mean that things can become quite easy to achieve. If let's make the example, I've been doing Groovebox for 4 years, so I know everyone. If I want to do an event some other place, all I have to do is kind of raise my hand. I'm not talking specifically about me, but just as an example.
Okay.
And then when it is a small scene and everyone knows everyone, it quickly becomes sort of a power struggle, The people on top, they want to stay on top. And sometimes that comes at a cost.
I think in this kind of way that the people on top stays on top. I think that maybe one of the problems in Aalborg actually is Jomfru Anegade. I think because that's like a big draw point of the partying. Like when everybody goes to party in Aalborg, it's like, we go to Gaden. And I also think that has taken a lot away from the electronic music scene, and that you have to be just like, because those that do it know each other. And so it's not as widespread as it could be. And I think that's where Jomfru Anegade is starting to fall down. And I think it's going to make everything better in Aalborg by time. But I think that's one of the problems that we might have here.
I think the more electronic music becomes embedded into the culture of young people before they come here as well, the easier it will be to sort of like... I don't think Jomfru Anegade will ever disappear in the capacity that it is now, but I think people will be able to filter it out more, and hopefully there will be a bigger selection of things to experience. Like since I moved here, since let's say 13, when things really started happening, Frequence, Sequence, On-Air Festival, etc., then people kind of get an alternative, because before then there was just Jomfru Anegade, from my perspective, because I didn't know the music at the time,
No,
so
same for me back then.
I wouldn't go to Viva in 2011 when I moved here, because I didn't know the music, hence I didn't know the place. So someone who comes here and is uneducated when it comes to electronic music will not discover the scene very easily, or during the first week or month here, I do, however, think that there's sort of a gap in Aalborg in terms of the actors. That a lot of people say, we want to support the local community and the upcoming artists and everything, but when it comes down to it, there's not much support to get. It quickly becomes very personal, I think.
But I also think that has something to do that it's hard to get awareness in Aalborg about where the things are going, because when you say actors, and like if we have to talking theater, there's also the secret theater, the hemmelige teater, or down at Nordkraft there's a scene. Like there's a lot of small places that you don't really know about. And I think that might be one of the lacks, because how do you get to know the music at Viva or the place Viva if you don't like the music? And that's the kind of thing, or if you don't know the music, might be the problem actually.
I mean, I think mostly what I've intended to say is that if you come as an up-and-comer in Aalborg, it's very easy to get on the scene.
Yeah.
You know, you can get invited to play at a multitude of venues. And there are many, let's call them micro venues and alternative venues in Aalborg. Some are bigger than others, and some are maybe not so appealing as an up-and-comer because you have high expectations or ambitions. But it can also be very, very difficult to stay or to become a mainstay on the scene if certain people don't like you on a personal level. And I mean, I know I haven't always done things the best way that I could with other people, but I also know that's been the same when it came to people treating me, you know. And I mean, I'm just using myself as an example because I know it also happens to other people to get in those kind of scenarios. So that's what I was saying before. When it is a small city and you have a very select group of people who are sort of making the decisions, it can be very hard to break the ice if you don't comply. If you don't play the music that they want you to play, you just don't play, you know? Yeah. You'll get a one-off gig, whatever, because you play abstract ambient music or something different, but you get one shot, you know? If you don't play the popular music, well, to say it nicely, fuck off, you know? Yeah. I think we were very lucky because we managed to have Groovebox. So we had a lot of DJs come through with their very own unique personal styles, both in terms of music, but also them as individuals. So, and Tusenfryd is also kind of a place where you have a variety of personalities. So there's room for everyone. Yeah. Most of the time. But I think with a lot of other venues and organizations and in general groups of people, that can be quite difficult. If I would, for instance, go to a specific venue and say, I don't like tech house, you might get labeled as a music snob. Yeah. You're not going to play at that venue anymore because there are some people who are making the decisions who just, they don't like you anymore because you've done something or said something along those lines. And then, you know, small scene, it's easy to get a resume, and with a good resume also comes a bad resume often.
We have to be good to forgive each other when everybody knows each other. I think that's...
I don't think it's necessarily about forgiving, but I think it's about being open.
Or something, yeah, being open.
Like, you know, if you have an issue with someone, then you go and talk to them. Yeah. Like, I can say... So the event tonight is Groovebox. It isn't actually a Groovebox event. It's an Oh My set event, which is sort of, let's call it also a type of offspring. Okay. So there was this girl, she wrote us to the Groovebox page sometime last year. I was like, okay, she's from Estonia, that's pretty cool. I have some relation to Estonia. My girlfriend's from there, I live there now. And I was like, okay, let's invite her for a coffee. Let's see what she wants. She wants to play at the event. Yeah. We had a talk with her. She was nice, everything. We explained Groovebox to her. And we sort of tried to sit down and tell her what our musical profile isn't, right? So we don't come and tell you, like, you have to play this music. But no. we can say, like, look, we really don't appreciate this specific genre. Okay, and she came and she did the warm-up, and it was all nice, technically perfect mixing, but the music maybe wasn't for us. So instead of just like freezing her out and saying, we don't like your music, we sat down, we had a talk. We're good friends now. I mean, She brought us to come and play tonight. She's doing exceptionally great events. But, you know, we actually had the openness and I'd say the balls to sit down and talk to her and say, like, look, if you want to make an event, we think, or our advice would be to maybe take it in this sort of direction instead of another one. She sort of stayed true to her path to say, and I can only respect that. She didn't let us bully her or anything. No. But the fact that there is openness enough to say, you know, I don't like your shirt. That doesn't have to be... I actually like your shirt,
but... Thank you.
I mean, the fact that I can say that to you means that we can be open. And you don't have to agree with me. And you don't have to get pissed off that I say I don't like your shirt, but that's openness. You know, we can be honest with each other, and I think that's the best way to grow and to learn from each other, because there's a huge knowledge pool in Aalborg, considering everyone knows everyone, which means that everyone is in some capacity involved with all other things happening. And we can learn so much from each other, especially from each other's faults and mistakes. But it's kind of like we say in Danish, in it. So I'm not sure how to say that in English. It's kind of like it's a closed little bubble, you know, of people, and no one wants to like be the one who pops their head up and says, "Oh, something is rotten in the state of Denmark."
No,
I mean, and I think also that's one of the reasons why I know like a lot of people, they have problems with me.
Yeah,
because I wasn't afraid of being the asshole.
No,
to say that, but I also think that was part of the success, the sort of no bullshit approach, which is also why Groovebox in its time was such a great fit for Tusindfryd.
Yeah. Great. Well, I think that's it. Thank you for coming, Steffan.
Thank you for having me on.
Here.
And
awesome.
Make sure to support the local
community.
The local community properly. Give the people out there a chance to come and perform and sit down, have a talk with them, help them grow. Don't just tell them like, don't like your shirt, you know.
Yeah.
That's not cool.
Exactly. That's not cool.